I have a friend who always checks in, wondering how I've been. I have a friend who always shows up again and again and again. I know when I'm feeling low, I have a friend. I have a friend. I have a friend who always shares.
Well, hello, Venters. Thank you for joining me on my 90-day walking journey. We're about 10, 11 days in, and we're doing just fine, avoiding sugar, drinking water every day, walking around like crazy, and I'm hoping that you'll consider joining me. Guys, there's a store called Five Below. If you've ever shopped there before, let me know down in the comments. They have cute t-shirts, toys, and knickknacks that cost anywhere from $5 or below, thus the name of their store, Five Below. A lot of people love that store, by the way. So in Oakland, Dallas, there's a shopping center where right by Five Below, they also have a Party City, and then they also have a PetSmart. And that's exactly how one of the little strip malls in my neighborhood has those exact same stores. I wonder if they constantly find these strip malls next to each other. It sounds like they do. So anyway, I want to tell you a very unfortunate story of something that should have been totally no big deal. But of course, like all of our stories, it kind of blew out of proportion. You ever open a door for somebody and they say, "Oh, thank you," and you go about your day? Well, many times you open the door for somebody and they don't say thank you at all. And I don't know about you, but for most of us, I think we just go about our day anyway. But anyway, check this out. A mother was there with her 20-year-old daughter, and she was a nurse, by the way. She held the door open for a 22-year-old girl named Kiona Hampton. Oh my God, the wind is starting to pick up and take this umbrella with it. Holy moly. So Cecilia Simpson and her 20-year-old daughter leave Five Below, and as they're doing it, they're holding the door open for Kiona Hampton. Kiona Hampton doesn't say thank you, and instead of them both just going about their day, Cecilia ended up basically barking at her for not saying thank you. You can almost imagine her saying, "Listen, you rude bitch, why don't you say thank you like most decent people would?" Anyway, they end up going into PetSmart, and Kiona is angry at this point. She opens the door and pops her head into the building twice, imploring Cecilia to come out to fight in the parking lot.
I've been trying not to cry, but just being in high school, my mom was such an important person during my lifetime, and she's the reason I became a nurse. My whole family is. Honestly, if I could just hug that daughter, I just feel so bad for her, and I just want her to know that I did everything I could. Those other people did everything they could.
Cecilia and her daughter tried to de-escalate the situation. By this time, Kiona Hampton was in too deep.
I was telling them, come outside, let's handle it outside, let's fight outside. And the mom and the daughter were kind of just telling her to go away.
And she ended up taking her gun, and according to police reports, she ended up shooting Cecilia. But according to Kiona, she did this as self-defense because Cecilia wouldn't leave her alone.
But the mom and daughter tried to get in their car and de-escalate the situation, but the lady wasn't having it. So they ended up starting to fight. And then that's when the lady pulled out her gun and shot her. The daughter was next to the mom the whole time. She it's hard because the screaming of a child for her mother is never easy, and it's never going to leave my head.
The victim, identified as Cecilia Simpson, died at the hospital.
I've been trying not to cry, but just being in high school, my mom was such an important person during my lifetime, and she's the reason I became a nurse.
Now, there's a lot of things that are weird in this scenario. Number one, Kiona might have shot Cecilia, and she might be the bad guy in this situation for ending Cecilia's life. But Cecilia didn't leave well enough alone.
According to the arrest warrant affidavit, Simpson got upset at Hampton for not thanking her for holding the door. It spiraled quickly from there. Hampton, who reportedly waived her Miranda rights, confirmed that she engaged in the verbal dispute, entering the PetSmart twice and continuing the argument, throwing a drink bottle at Simpson's car when she was about to leave and engaging in a physical altercation with her, adding that she took out her gun and shot Simpson, stating she was trying to get Simpson away from her.
So imagine a situation where you're 22-year-old Kiona Hampton, and all of a sudden you have what looks like middle-aged Cecilia and her 20-year-old daughter basically talking smack to you. Now, it depends on what you consider smack. If somebody calls me rude, I don't necessarily consider that trash talking. But what if somebody does it in a way where you fear for your safety? I don't know what Kiona Hampton was going through, but I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this. When the wind catches the umbrella on my camera, guys, it literally makes a 2-pound camera fill 35 pounds in a second, and it feels like my camera is gonna go up into the air. It's crazy. Are you the type of person, when you do something nice for somebody, you have to be rewarded in some way, right? Oh, look at Joey, he was nice enough to walk the old lady across the street. Oh, look at Joey, he's willing to donate $20 to a charity, right? If you always need to be exalted and told how great you are, maybe you shouldn't try to do nice things for others. When you open the door and somebody doesn't say thank you, and you end up telling them how rude they are, you might think you're doing the solid, and maybe in the grand scheme of things you are, by letting them know they're rude. But if you need to be told thank you, you probably shouldn't be holding the door open for everybody. Sometimes this world requires that we do nice things, and there's not necessarily going to be any gratitude given in return. A lot of the comments that I read and some that I wrote down kind of alluded to that fact. When you do something nice for somebody, you have to do it with little to no expectations in return. Otherwise, you're going to be sorely disappointed. You're going to open up thousands of doors for people in your lifetime, but they're only going to open the door for you a percentage of that. I don't know why it works that way, but that's honestly the way it works. Now, women, on the other side of things, throughout your life, you might have a lot more men opening doors for you than you're opening doors for them. With that being said, maybe say thank you. Try to be polite. Not because you have to, but because you should want to. When people go out of their way to help you, be gracious. Show gratitude. Don't get in a fight with people over stupid things. Never get in a fight with people. Remember, we all have a duty to our friends and family to make it home at the end of the day. This is one of those things where it makes me wonder, is it even worth it to be kind and courteous to others? I think I've resolved myself that if I'm going to be kind and courteous, I'm going to do it because it's for me. It's not necessarily for them. I want to live in a world where people are kind and courteous, and the best way I can start finding that world is to start with the man in the mirror. So again, who cares what others are doing? Let's care about what you're doing. Be a better person. Do the right thing, even when no one's watching. That's how you know you're a person of high character. You shouldn't need a reward. You shouldn't need people to scream at the top of their lungs how great you are. And if you do absolutely need that, there might be a little bit of a weakness within you. I recommend you put your shoes on. Let's walk that weakness out of you. Let's walk it out. The 27-year-old nurse that was a witness gave CPR to Cecilia right in front of her screaming daughter. And she said that it was something that she will never forget for the rest of her life. And that is something traumatic. Nurses, God bless them, especially the ones in like the ICU and the emergency, rooms at the hospitals. God, those people must see some horrific, traumatizing stuff. I don't think we ever talk about the emotional and psychological makeup of our healthcare providers. They must literally just go through hell some years and some days. Maybe we should start thanking them, no different than when we thank our armed forces. We know our armed forces have seen some shit, but I bet you if there's anybody that's seen even more than the military, it's these nurses in these emergency rooms. Where Oceans Meet says this might be the dumbest thing anyone has ever been shot over. At first, when I heard the story, Oceans Meet, I thought it was going to be Kiana Hampton that started the argument. Guys, that's what makes this so unique. It was actually Cecilia and her daughter that started the argument because they ended up calling her rude for not saying thank you. Nobody owes you anything in life, and you don't owe them anything. Don't open doors for people if you require them to say thank you, because that's asking a little too much out of our country right now. Do you deserve a thank you? I honestly believe that you do. But again, we can't force people to do the right thing. You bring an umbrella because you tell yourself, if it rains, I want to be as comfortable as possible. But when it doesn't rain, that umbrella ends up being uncomfortable as possible. Isn't that something? And then you try to put it in your pocket, but it's just long enough where it wants to fall out. Oh, you know what though? That's my most challenging problem of the day. That's not a bad problem. Some people have serious problems in this world. Me trying to walk with an umbrella sticking out of my pocket does not qualify for one of those hardcore problems. Ginger 6582 says, it's as if people have murder on their bucket list. Ginger, I couldn't have said it better myself. I've been trying to ask us collectively, why do you guys think this keeps happening? And I'm starting to think that it is some sort of weird fetish that people have. They love to be able to say, I won this argument. And what better way to win it than to literally end another person's life? I guess what people don't have a problem with that I do is I don't know how I would live with myself knowing that I took somebody's mother and ended their mother's life. I don't know how I would live with myself. Does anybody else have that same guilt thought? I don't want to call it a guilt complex because I haven't killed anybody, but does anybody else agree with me that they would not be able to live with themselves if they did something like that to another human being, especially a mom? And you're going to do that in front of her 20-year-old daughter? Like, how awful. But again, there's an asterisk here. If Kiana legitimately felt threatened, then we have to say she had a right to defend herself. But Kiana stuck her head into PetSmart twice, trying to egg Cecilia and her daughter outside to fight. Then when Cecilia and her actually started the process of fighting, that's when Kiana ended up pulling out a gun, ending Cecilia's life. So again, what was this? Was this some sort of coyote playing with its food? You know how coyotes will trick your dog into playing with them, and then before you know it, they eat your dog, right? Was Kiana doing that? Was she egging Cecilia on because she had this murder fetish? She wanted to end somebody's life? We give people the right to defend themselves, but if you're egging somebody out of a store to fight you, and then instead of fighting them, you shoot them, you're probably the bad person in it all, Kiana. You probably are. But again, we'll leave that up to a judge and jury. JCA 759 says, 20 years ago, something like this would have shocked me. This day and age, in our current society, not so much, which is truly sad. This happened 20 years ago, and it happened 40 years ago, and it probably happened 50 years ago, but not as much, but it did happen. The only difference is then we didn't have YouTube and TikTok, and we didn't have all this way of watching other people's media. For example, guys, this came from a Dallas news station. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. Mala, you live in Boston, Massachusetts. Sean, I think you live in one of the Carolinas. Nobody would have been able to see this news 25 years ago, but these stupid things probably still happened. I think that's where social media is actually has a poisoning effect. Stuff like this doesn't happen every day in your neck of the woods, but it happens somewhere. And in the past, we never saw when it happened elsewhere. Now we see it all the time. It's getting to the point where we're numb to it. And if everybody gets numb enough, pretty soon, the murders and stuff are going to actually increase because people are going to start doing vigilante justice. I can just feel it. Jeremy says, I hold the door all the time. Sometimes people say thank you, sometimes they don't. I don't care either way. I walk by people all the time. I say, hi, how you doing? Sometimes they say good, how about yourself? Sometimes they ignore me like I didn't say anything. I don't know how those people live with themselves, but I don't have to be their friend, and neither do you. Go about your day. I think you hit it right on the head, Jeremy. Open the door because your parents taught you well. As a matter of fact, Sean, Mala, do you guys agree? When you open the door and you treat somebody with courtesy, you're actually paying respect to your parents, because your parents are the ones that instilled those decent morals and decent etiquette in you. So again, do decent things because your parents were good folks and they raised you right. And if you're a parent and you're trying to teach your son and daughter to do the right thing, let them know that same thing. That when they open the door for somebody else, it might not make them say thank you, but you as their mom or you as their dad love that they're paying respect and homage to you as their parent. Jay Benevi says, why are people flipping out over violence? This cannot become our new normal. That's why we need to nip it in the bud now. That's why we as a people need to stand up and change this. We need to say, you know what? I had no idea that evil and crime and people taking other people's lives, I had no idea it was as bad as it is. This woman is going to leave an empty spot at this year's Thanksgiving and Christmas Day festivities over not getting a hello. It's the stupidest reason. We as a people need to bring back common sense and decency. Everybody agrees we need common sense, but we really need common sense and decency. You know what would be decent? Why don't you guys make today the day that you decide Jesse has earned my subscription? I'm going to subscribe, I'm going to hit the like button, and hell, I'm going to hype this video too. Have a wonderful day. I'm going to watch Thursday Night Football. Go Giants. Have a good night.